Hello and welcome to this episode of Unbound. I'm Nicola Humber, author of Unbound and founder of the Unbound Press. And today I am beyond excited to be joined by the deeply magical Leonie Dawson. Welcome, Leonie.
Oh, thanks, Nicola. Deeply magical. I'm going to get a t-shirt with that written on it because that thrills me. I love those two words together. That makes me very happy.
Yeah, not just magical, deeply magical. There you go.
Deeply magical. I'm so into it. I'm so into it. As a Scorpio, I don't want shallow magical. I want deep magical.
It's got to be deep. It's got to be deep. So, Leonie is an international best-selling author, amongst many other things. And this month, like in August, during these episodes, we're focusing on the transformation that happens when we write books as part of the Magical Portal project. And I really wanted you to be part of this, Leonie, because you've been such an inspiration to me, as I was saying before we hit the record button. And you were one of my first mentors when I first started walking the Unbound path, and I started my own business, and I did not have a clue what I was doing or what I wanted to do, really. And being part of your academy and going through your My Shining Year workbooks each year really helped me to kind of realize that I could be a writer and it was possible for me to write books. So thank you so much for that.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored. That makes me so happy. And this is the thing, right? Like, we create these things and we have no idea how it helps other people, no idea whatsoever. But the important thing is that you've created it anyway. And then sometimes in deeply magical circumstances, you find out years later how it's affected someone. So that just tells me.
Absolutely, it is. It's gorgeous, isn't it, when you get to actually hear that? And that's the thing I love about books, is they go out into the world and they have their own relationship with each of the people who read them or use them, and you have no idea most of the time what's the magic that's being created there.
Completely. And that people get to spend just hours and hours immersed in a world that you've created. Like, that is so thrilling.
Exactly. So have you always been a writer, Leonie? Is it something you've always done throughout your life? I mean, it feels
Yeah,
like you were probably birthed into the world blogging as you came out.
a little bit. Um, a little bit. So I knew, oh my God.
That's what's happened. That's what happens when there's deep magic.
Deep magic. I'll leave it like this now. Like, that was like, if that's how it needs to be,
Exactly.
you put yourself to bed backdrop, you
Yeah.
put yourself. It's amazing. It's never done that before. That's so great.
It's unbound, you see.
It is. It's unbound. It's living
I
its
was like,
own.
no, I'm not doing this anymore.
I'm tired. God damn it.
I'm gonna have a nap. Oh,
Oh my God. That's deeply magical. Like, please make sure you subtitle this deeply magical.
yeah.
So yes, I knew, I think I was about 4, that I wanted to be a writer and an artist when I grew up. And I remember it was like one of the first books that I wrote, and I think I was about 5, and it was about a cyclone that we'd had. Do you call them cyclones in the UK? Because I know they call them hurricanes in the US. Or you don't get them, so you don't
We
care.
don't. Well, sometimes we get really small. It's like strong winds, and they might call it kind of a little bit. It's a hurricane. We call it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Righto. All right.
Yeah.
No, we get the big ones in Australia. And so I wrote a book and illustrated a book. I was about 5, about Cyclone Charlie. it was illustrated as well, and that just kind of continued on. And so I was always journaling and creating art journals, and I sent myself off to boarding school when I was 16, and it was so great because I had a ready audience there. So I lived in a dorm with about 20 other girls, and I would write in my art journal, and then I would send it around the dorm for everyone to read. Like, the idea of something being private has never occurred to me ever.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that actually, because, you know, through following you for, you know, a number of years now, probably since about 2012 that I first kind of was introduced to your work. And I feel like I know you so well because, like, through your blogs in particular, like, you share very openly about, you know, your personal life and take us behind the scenes in your business. And I was just wondering, do you ever have a moment where you have a vulnerability hangover and you think, fuck, I wish I hadn't shared that? Or does that not happen?
Doesn't occur to me.
Fantastic.
It doesn't. You know, I mean, there are some things now that I don't share about as much. So, like my parts where I don't share about is that I don't really share about kind of my kids' development now that they're past kind of the toddler age, because when they're toddlers, I mean, they're all just pooping, vomiting, like weeing, you know, tantrum throwers. So there's nothing particularly interesting. It's not like you have a very individual toddler. You just have a toddler in everyone. I try and also allow my husband to have, you know, as much personal privacy. Like, I'm not going to talk about his story. I really only try to talk about my story. And if that part of the story correlates with somebody else, then I want to make sure that I walk an ethical path, like, in terms of that, allowing people to have their own privacy. So, like, one big thing is that my parents got divorced about 10 years ago, and my family of origin kind of imploded. But it's not something I can really talk about in great detail because it involves other people's stories, and I want to be conscious of what's my story and what's other people's story.
Yeah. So as long as it's your story, it's like open book, happy to share.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm happy to talk about all my feelings, right?
Yeah.
As being my feelings, but I don't want to get into the details of other people's stories, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes total sense. Yeah, complete sense. So which of your books feels like it's created the most transformation for you in your life?
Definitely the My Shining Year Goals workbooks. It was something I actually just created for myself to start with. So I was pregnant with my first child in 2009. And I knew that I was going to have a year ahead of me, like doing that initiation into motherhood. And I wanted to set goals as something to anchor onto when I, you know, forget myself completely in the early days of motherhood. And when I looked around at goal stuff, there wasn't really anything out there. It wasn't anything, like, there was some really small worksheets that are very masculine, and they were really just like, hustle, like, what's your top 3 like goals for your career? Whereas, like, I find that women and, you know, and people who are kind of more in touch with their whole selves, their wholehearted selves, as Brene Brown would say, they're much more interested in setting goals in a holistic sense. They have goals for their family, they have goals for their self-care, and, well, if they don't have them, they want to have them. And plus, I love rainbows and unicorns and mermaids. Have long before it was cool, will long after it stops being cool. And so I wanted to create something like super rainbow. And so I created something just for myself over the space of about 3 days. And I was like, oh my God, this looks so cute. And I thought, oh, maybe other people would find this helpful as well. Maybe I would put it online, like maybe 10 people would like find it useful. Like that'd be so cool. And about 1,000 people ended up downloading it in the next few weeks. And I thought, oh, holy dinger. And since then, I think it's over 350,000 people worldwide have used them now, which is just insane. But it's not like there's so many more people to reach. Like there's so many more millions and billions of people who need to do it. So I'm just going to keep on marketing the absolute crap out of them until everyone finds them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we're talking about kind of the transformation that happens in so many different ways when we kind of create a book and release it into the world. And I'm really interested in kind of the specific transformation that your My Shining Year workbooks have created for you. I'm sure that's kind of evolved over the years as the books have evolved and they've reached more people. You know, what impact has it created, like for you personally and your business as well?
Sure. Like on a personal level, like I always think that even if I'd never released them in the world, the My Shining Year Goals workbooks would have been the book that changed my life because I created them for me and they helped me so much. And, you know, in the years since, they've been something that I've returned to over and over again. It's like creating a room of one's own, a place where you get to remember your own soul and what you want to do in this world. And so in the really, really hard years, like when that's really hard to remember, like my Shining Year Goals workbook for that year just ends up becoming so well thumbed, and I'm like holding onto it like it's a fucking talisman, right? Because it's just like I am struggling and I need to remember what I wanted to do in this world again. So I'm so grateful on that part. And then of course in the good years, it just helps you like go even further and create even more good things, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
On a business level, I think like the blessing is that when people start using the goals workbooks, if they use it for one time, they're kind of addicted for life. Because they use it and they're like, oh my God, it makes such a big difference. And then they buy like the next year's edition and then the next year's, and then they want to also tell all their friends about it to try and get all their friends setting their goals so they can do it all together and have workbook parties. So it just ends up being this beautiful snowball, and it's such a blessing. And I love that we've been able to donate it to nonprofit organizations so that any nonprofit can write in and tell us what they're going to use the workbooks for with all their clients, and we'll just grant them a kind of an unconditional license for them to print and use as they wish with all their clients. And I love getting their feedback from all those nonprofit clients as well about how it's completely transformed their lives, and that makes me just so happy.
Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous. So like the transformation just kind of ripples out into the world in so many different ways. That's incredible. And you know, there are so many planners and things out there that we can use, like, you know, and at the beginning of the year it's like there's so many things bombarded towards us as ways that we can kind of tune into what we want to create in that year. And what I love about the My Shining Year workbooks is that there's so much of you in them, Leonie. You know, it feels like, you know, I can imagine you that very first time, like sitting down and creating it for yourself. There's kind of a real freedom around them in the way that they're created. And how do you maintain that kind of this far down the line when you've been like creating these books year after year and now they're reaching so many people? How do you keep that kind of like essence of you in them?
It hasn't occurred to me to do anything different.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, well, this is fun. This is great. Like people would be disappointed if they became like black and white and somber and dull.
Can you imagine?
Right? So now I'm like, how can I do it even more? But I mean, like I was also like that at the start. I was like, how can I make them as rainbow as possible? Like it never occurred to me to like dull it down a bit.
No. So you know, what comes through is that you do have fun during the process. Like as you're creating, it's like a joyful experience for you. And I think it's really important for people to kind of hear that creating a book, writing a book, like how you feel when you're creating it, it comes through for the reader or the person who's using that book as well.
Yeah. And Hira Boga, who's one of my mentors, she always says, you know, like the energy you put into it is the energy people will feel as well. And of course, that doesn't mean that I'm like pick joy, like at every single like method of like the editing process. Like at some part, I'm just like, fuck this shit, why am I on edit round number 10? But if you're setting the intention, like for, you know, this to be something that helps and heals people, and also like, you know, enjoy the creating process as much as you can, even though there's some hard parts. It's like giving birth in some respects. Then that will imbue the process. Don't be like, well, I've got to wait to be in a good mood before I create anything. Otherwise people will feel this bad mood I'm feeling right now. No, just let like the creativity heal you, and it will.
Exactly. Yeah. Allow that. That's it. Kind of write through it and or create through it and allow that to kind of take you from one place to another, and then it has the same impact on the reader as well. So I love
exactly.
that. I love that. So what is it like for you, you know, when I love like when you started offering the kind of physical like My Shining Year workbooks, and I was able to kind of have like a copy.
Yeah.
It's just different from printing it off. And I always think that this is really magical, that when people buy our books, that they have this physical kind of copy, they have this kind of part of us in their homes. And you were talking about the My Shining Year workbook, how, you know, you'll go back to it throughout the year, and obviously everyone who's using them hopefully is doing the same thing. So to know that kind of a part of you is out there in people's homes, and it's something they go back to throughout the year, what is that like for you?
It just thrills me, and also it feels like we're kind of all in this together, because I'm doing exactly the same thing, like getting my workbook out, checking back in with my goals. So I feel like just as much of a reader and a user of the workbook as anybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I am the number one beta tester, because this is what I needed in my life. This is what I still need in my life.
Yeah. And again, I think that's really important for, you know, people to hear, because sometimes we might have the idea that we have to have kind of completely sorted one area of our life before we kind of create something around it. It's like we need to kind of reach the end of the journey, not that we ever reach the end of the journey. Like on your deathbed trying to kind of write all these books. But, you know, people kind of hold themselves back from writing and creating. So it's like, oh no, I need to kind of have this all figured out before I share anything around it. And
it's true.
Yeah. So what would you say to people who are, you know, someone who's thinking about writing a book that's like, oh, I feel like I've got to, you know, have it all sorted out in my mind before I actually start writing?
I don't have shit sorted out. And it's the writing process that helps us sort shit out. And especially when I'm like, oh God, I feel like I don't, like, even just the smallest thing. So I was thinking to myself like a few months ago about that I was thinking to myself, there must be like businesses out there that have quit social media, right? Like there must be some out there. And I thought to myself, you know what I'll do? I'll give myself a research project and I'll write a blog article about businesses that are quitting social media, and I'll do all the research just purely for my own interest, because I wanted to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote it, and sure enough, yes, there are a bunch out there and some really surprising ones. And I thought, wow, that was really cool. And then published the article, yay! And now, and then that article ended up going viral, because it's something that a lot of people are thinking about, like, is this even worth my time, all that kind of stuff. And so now people are like, oh, you're like the business who quit social media expert. And I'm like, nah, no. Okay, sure. Like we learn by doing it, right? And if you want to heal something, write about it. If you want to learn about something, write about it. It's like that old adage: if you want to learn, teach.
Yeah, yeah. And write it for yourself, first of
Yeah,
all. And
yeah,
then, if you want to share it, then go ahead. But
yeah.
write it for yourself first and foremost. I love
I
it.
mean, spoiler alert, I've never written for anyone else except for me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's especially like the most deeply personal things I've written about postnatal depression or hyperemesis gravidarum or any of the other big things that I've been through. I've written it to heal me first and foremost, and because I'm like, I need to work through this. It's such a good therapy for me. And then if it blesses the rest of the world, yay. But first and foremost, I'm writing to heal myself. And if it's not a healing thing, then I am writing to amuse myself. I think that's why my writing can be quite ridiculous and I make up words. I'm like, how can I make this as stupid as possible and funny as possible? Because I need to laugh. I don't care if anyone else laughs. I don't care if anyone else thinks my humor is really wet or whatever. I'm doing it for me, and I'm grateful that there's other people out in the world who think that is funny as shit as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so good. So good. I was going to ask something and it popped into my head, and now oh no, I was going to ask, when you're talking about, writing about some of these really challenging times that you've experienced in your life, and you're writing to kind of heal yourself, do you always know that you're going to share it, or how do you decide what you're going to share and what you're not going to share?
Oh, it always gets shared.
Yeah. It's always being shared.
I know that might not work for a lot of people, but oh my God, it really works for me. I think having that end goal in mind of finishing it and pressing publish, right? It's like finishing the art journal page so I could send it around the dorm, right? I can't send a half-written one around the dorm. And that was the beauty of blogging. I was like, I don't have to send my art journal around the dorm anymore. I could just press publish and people can read my art journal online. It's still exactly the same energy for me. And I also it was really useful at that really young age because I would get kind of instant feedback, and other girls in the dorm started creating their own art journals, and the other girls would say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that other people felt the same way, or oh God, I just feel so inspired. I should be creating and I should be writing, that made me happy. And that's more than enough, more than enough. Even if it's not the most perfect, and even if it's as long as it inspires people to create themselves or to feel less alone, then I am so super bonza. So it's those same kind of two values sit with me still.
Yeah, fantastic. So has there been any kind of unexpected magic that your books have created in your life? Have they taken you in any unexpected directions ever?
I think on the business front, it's still just a huge freaking surprise to me. I had no idea, in the beginning days, this would turn into, kind of a multi-million-dollar company. It was not really my intention. I mean, it's great. I'm grateful for it. But my intention was just to be able to earn enough money that I could stay home with my kids and have a creative job. That was basically it. And that's still my main aim.
Yeah.
So I think this has been the surprising thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is just well, that's fun.
Yeah. And that's a pretty great surprise, actually, isn't it? To end up with a multi-million-dollar business. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's okay.
I appreciate that. That's a good surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, so before we finish, Leonie, I just love, because the people who are part of the Magical Portal project and who are listening to these conversations and reading the pieces, all have some kind of interest in writing a book, and maybe they've written a book or just thinking about it. What kind of advice or encouragement would you give to somebody who has probably been wanting to write a book for quite some time, which was certainly the case for me, to help them get started and to actually kind of sit down at their notebook or laptop and actually commit to writing a book?
Honestly, my biggest piece of advice is to do it as quickly as possible, and like give yourself the fastest deadline that you can and just pour yourself into it. So for me, like the workbooks in the early days, it was 3 days that it took for me to write the first editions, write and illustrate and publish and put out into the world. And even now, like when I do a full revision, like it has to be knocked out like within, it's usually like a 2 weeks to 1 month thing. So I'm giving myself like a lot more time, like 10 times the amount of time in the early days. But like honestly, anything that would be over a month for me is too long. That would just mean that I am putting it off. So I'm not somebody that's like, okay, we're going to take 6 months to a year to write a book. No, like, because I would mean like I am not actually going to write the friggin' book. Give yourself a really short, sharp deadline and just pour yourself into it. So like I'm actually like so passionate about this theory. I created an e-course called 40 Days to a Finished Book, and everyone just like jumps in and we all write books together in 40 days. And it is amazing how quickly people can write their books, and you don't have to be doing it full time. It only takes like a couple of hours a day, like, and really just pouring yourself. And I love that people discovered through that process that yes, they can work full time. Yes, they can have kids. Yes, they can, like there was people that were dealing with some really big tragedies, like their daughter was going through cancer and was getting treatment. And it actually became a place where they could like every day return to and just spend time with themselves. And it was really healing for them. And it's amazing how quickly books can get finished when you actually just sit down and write the friggin' book. The time that you spend thinking about writing the book is so disproportionate to how long it actually takes to write the freaking book.
That's so true, so true. Like to get that momentum going. And like you said, it doesn't have to take a huge amount of your time either. I think there's a myth that you have to kind of sit at your desk for like day in, day out writing. And actually I can't write in that way. That doesn't feel creative. It doesn't work for me.
Can.
Exactly. Oh, thank you so much, Leonie. It's been such a joy to speak with you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us and it's been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you for inviting me to do this, and bless you for all the work that you're doing in the world.
Oh, and you. And for people listening to this, Leonie, what's the best way for them to find out more about you?
Oh, just my website, leoniedawson.com. Don't bother finding me on social media because social media sucks at keeping you in contact with people that you like. Like, how many times have you pressed like on someone, like on social media, and then never seen them again? Let's not do that. Come to my website. There's a whole bunch of free shit on there. I have an awesome mailing list. You 100% should be on my mailing list because if I bring out anything out, I always discount it from my mailing list first. I always give so much free stuff and free resources to help you with your life and your business and all the good things and writing and all the magic. So do that. Fuck social media.
On that note, and you're so generous, Leonie. So thank you for all you do in the world. Like I said, you've been a huge inspiration to me, and I think virtually everyone I know as well who's doing similar things. So yeah, like I said, such a joy to speak with you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. You've touched my heart. This has really juiced up my day.
And thank you to your backdrop as well for getting in on the action.
Deeply magical. It did make me go like kind of full Scorpio, like I'm in this like dark hermit cave.
Yeah. It's obviously how it needed to be. Yeah, we'll trust that.
So into it.
Thank you. And we will see you again soon for another episode of Unbound. Thanks, Leonie.
Bye.
Bye.